What's up guys, do not even try here. And today we are going to build this wonderful Tamiya M4 Sherman early. This has to be my favorite model so far. I absolutely adored the way it turned out, and to be honest, it's probably my best model so far. So overall it is an amazing kit as usual with Tamiya. Not a lot of pieces, and yeah, overall really enjoyable, and I hope you will like this video as much as I do. I start the build by making the transmission cover. As I am making the Hurricane M4 Sherman, which is a tank from the 2nd Armored Corps of the US Army, the transmission cover is the single cast one piece instead of the 3-part transmission cover. I then glue the 2 final drives. Here I am building the rear of the tank, where the 2 engine doors will place. Fun little fact, the M4, like the M4A1, has the R975 engine, which is an aircraft radial engine, which means that the engine deck and the rear of the tank is different than the M4A3 and M4A2. Overall, this part of the build went without any problem, and the fit per usual with Tamiya was absolutely excellent. After attaching the rear wall to the hull, I put on those 2 small walls that will support the upper hull. Here I am starting on the engine deck of the tank. As per usual with Tamiya again, this went together without any problem. This kit was an absolute dream to build. I attached those 2 small sort of steps on the inside of the tank because originally I wanted to build it with the hatch open and the crew members sticking out. But after much reflection, I decided that my skills at the crew figures wasn't high enough, so I just simply decided that it wasn't worth it and made the hatches close. A really cool thing about this kit, some of the small pieces that could have been separated from the hull, like those small fuel caps, are actually molded in, which really reduces the time of the build. And really, it doesn't deteriorate the overall quality because the molding is so good. I then attach the upper hull to the lower hull. This went without any problem, and you might be able to see that there is no sponson over the tracks. This is due to the fact that this kit was first manufactured as an RC tank, so this was made so you can put on some engines and transmission and things like that inside of the vehicle without anything getting in the way. Here I am building the gun. Since you can build the tank with the hatches open, building the gun inside is quite nice, so you can have at least a minimum of detail on the inside. Mostly will be obviously covered with the commander, but really you do not, it's just perfect for what you need. Building the turret really wasn't difficult at all. The number of pieces was actually extremely low, and everything fitted together extremely well. Really, Tamiya is incredible at doing models with a minimal amount of pieces and that still fit perfectly and have amazing details. After putting on all the details, I attached the two turret valves. After putting the last details on the turret, I glued the two front hatches and I put the rear wheel and the drive sprockets on. Take note that the rear wheel and the two drive sprockets have a poly cap in them, and that allows them to roll freely and allows them to be detached as at will. I am now working on the suspensions. As per usual with the Sherman style suspension, I will leave them unglued together until I paint them, because I want to paint the road wheels separately with the circle pattern technique that I used on the M10. So I only glue like a minimum of pieces together and then keep them together with some white tack. After pre-shading everything black, I attach the still not glued together suspensions. Here I am starting on the pre-shading. Pre-shading will really help the paint be less uniform and will make the otherwise boring green paint more interesting. I then paint the road wheels with some olive drab and the usual circle pattern that I use on the M10. After that, I start on the camouflage. Tamiya tells that Hurricane was painted olive drab and red brown, but after some research, I found out that bicolor OD camouflages were in fact olive drab and dark green. This camouflage can be seen in the movie Fury, where every tank is painted with that style of camouflage. So what I do is I first start with the olive drab color, and then after everything is dried and the camouflage is completely done, I simply put on the red, the dark green camo. I am now starting on the dark green part of the camouflage. After everything is dried, I finally attach the suspensions together. After finishing the suspensions, I glue together the tracks. Fun fact, they can be glued with some normal Tamiya cement, and after that it was pretty easy to wrap them around the suspensions. I now start on the accessories. There isn't a lot and they're pretty easy to paint, so what I do is cut them out and place them on some white tack on an empty paint bottle and simply paint it on it. Overall that was pretty easy and really it's not that big of a deal. The details are a bit small, but a steady hand and some patience will do miracles. Here I am starting on the weathering of the tracks. I really did not know what to do on this step, so what I did is simply improvise. I scraped some Tamiya brown powder with some black dry pastel and some Tamiya brown JDSF or something. Anyway, Japan Self-Defense Forces. Um, and mix them together with a drop of dish soap and a drop of water, which created a really thick uh, and consistent sort of wash slash mud, which resulted into a really nice looking wash, which I decided to put on the tank afterwards. Uh, Putting it on was pretty easily. I just brushed it on and removed the excess with some paper towel and a cotton bud. While the tracks dry, I cut off the decals and prepared them to be put on the vehicle. Keep in mind that before putting them on, I gloss coated the entire tank to make the application much easier and to protect the paint job. What I do for the decals, I first dip them into warm water for about 10 seconds and then put some micro set decal solution on the vehicle. Put the decal on, put a small coat of micro set again over the decal, and then once it's completely dried out, I put on some micro set to really melt the decal over the details. After putting on the decals, I start on the weathering. I basically use the same wash as I use on the tracks and put them where most of the mud and dust will be put on. After putting the tracks on, I remove the excess on the suspensions with a watered down cotton bud, and yeah, overall this wash was pretty easy to remove the excess and did, in my opinion, a pretty good job. After repeating the same process on the other side of the hole, I start to apply the wash directly on the hole. I try to do it from a downward position to the upwards because logically the mud will be more present on the lower part of the tank. I then do some splattering effect by simply projecting some of the wash onto the tank with my finger and the brush, and then when there's an excess I simply sort of erase it with a dry cotton bud, and he created a nice dusty effect. Putting on the wash, I do some chipping with some gunmetal and a sponge slash brush, and after putting on some stowage on the back of the tank and matte varnish it, the build was complete.